Hi, this is Jerome with Adventure Motorsports, here to talk to you about another snow bike build that we did with the Rale MT129 Kit. Before I get into the kit, I want to get into what we did to the bike. As I've mentioned on the Yamahas, the airbox is up high, the intake is pretty clean. It's a pretty simple modification. On the KTM, we actually have to remove the airbox, and then we use the C3 components again to get a different air intake so that we're not sucking in snow, we're not sucking moisture into that motor. And then we used a thermobob, we use a C3, we have the heated bars again. Again, a great way to know what your engine temp is. If your hands are cold, your engine's too cold. We don't run the blankets on the KTM. We like to run the skid plate, keep snow from building up on the front end. We also run a heat shield just because snow bike bibs are not getting any cheaper and melting a hole in them kind of sucks. On this bike, because it has a traditional tank, we're able to put the IMS tank on it. So we've got extra fuel capacity so we don't have to carry fuel in the back. The factory seat is not my favorite, but we tend to ride these bikes standing up more than sitting down, at least wise I do. But a lot of guys will switch that out for a seat concept seat. The other modification, we put an FMF on it. Because it's winter, we remove the spark arrestor, get a little bit more power out of it. Seems to help a little bit, run clean in the wintertime. The KTMs, it seems like we always have to run the cold start on the first start. If we don't, then it seems like we're chasing our battery. I do carry a jump pack when I ride with the snow bikes just because super cold weather will sometimes lose a battery. If they come with a lithium battery, we generally switch it out for a lead acid. But like I say, the jump packs are pretty small, so I'll carry one of those in my pack with me just in case. Sometimes we'll run the hand covers. We used to run flags. We just ended up breaking them or packing them full of snow. And so by just running the over mitt, keeps your hands really warm. And if we get gnarly winds and stuff, it just keeps your hands that much warmer. Don't have a lot of issues with broken levers in the snow. I say that, and this year we'll probably break 6. But seems to be working pretty good so far. Now to get into the meat of the build, this is the Rale MT129 Kit. Obviously, it's a little bit longer. The actual contact patch of the track to the snow is not significantly longer than the 120, but it's long enough that what I found is on the 120, you're on the gas, you're shifting very often, and you're really, really hammering the throttle because you've got to keep that track moving. If you don't have track spin or the track spinning, then you're going to lose momentum and you're either going to get stuck or you're going to tip over. With the 129, I feel like it's a little bit more forgiving. It's a different track as well. I'm not gonna say more aggressive, but it's just a different track. And in kind of the mixed snow conditions, I feel like it hooks up really well. But with that longer track, it's just a little bit more forgiving. And I find that if I'm coming into a technical section or a section that I've never ridden before, I don't have to carry quite as much speed and I can throttle out of it versus on the 120, I've got to be on the gas the whole way. And sometimes I'll have to do a course correction or an evasive maneuver because I'm about to drop into something or off of something I don't want to. With the 129, I can come in just a little bit slower and then throttle out of it or throttle back depending on what the situation requires. So it's a little bit more forgiving. It is slightly longer on really steep hill climbs. I noticed that I don't carry as much speed going up the hill, but it seems like I can get to the same places as I can on the 120. I just don't get up there quite as fast. In really heavy snow conditions, like the real wet, heavy spring type conditions, the 129 definitely doesn't accelerate as fast. And I feel like it's not quite as advantageous. Where I like the 129 early season where we don't have a lot of base, really fluffy, deep snow conditions. We've had some situations where we're hitting the tank or almost to the airbox. The 129 is a little bit more advantageous there. If you're riding with the guys on the old school Yetis with the really long track kits, this kit will keep up better with them than a 120. But it seems like everybody's kind of shifting into a smaller platform. The specs on the 129, it's a little bit nicer rail here, a little bit more refined in here. Still using your stock suspension. This was a trade-in bike. We sprung it for a 220-pound rider. Haven't done anything to it since. They definitely upgraded the brake on the 129, which is really nice. One of the biggest complaints about snow bikes in general is stopping is somewhat tricky. With this upgraded brake from Brembo, the stopping power is really good, which is really, really nice. We've had great results with the 120 and the 129. In a perfect world, you'd have both. If you could only have one, if I was a really aggressive rider, I would go with the 120. If I'm a newer, if I'm an older, if I'm just a little bit timid, the 129 is gonna be very forgiving and it's gonna keep you out of trouble, where the 120, if you're just not really hammering that gas, you're gonna get in some sticky situations. If you have any questions, if you're not sure about snow bikes, come see us. We'd love to talk to you. Give us a call, and we can get you fixed up and ready to play in the snow.